attention. Because The View is live. Honoring the enemy? Does President Trump's offer to sit down with Kim Jong-un open a dangerous door? Or is it smart negotiating? And Kimmel comes apart.
It's a terrifying thing.
The emotional live confession about his newborn son's brush with death. Plus, LeAnn Rimes is dropping her latest hit live and revealing how she celebrated 6 years with hubby Eddie Cibrian. Let's fire up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
The new guy has been all over the place touting the accomplishments of his first 100 days. But he cut one interview short after the subject of President Obama came up. Take a look.
You call him sick and bad.
Look, you can figure it out yourself. He was very nice to me with words, and when I was with him, but after that there has been no relationship.
But you stand by that claim about him?
I don't stand by anything. Just, you can take it the way you want.
But I want to know your opinions. You're the President of the United States.
It's enough. Thank you.
So when he said he doesn't stand by anything, I have to say I agree.
Yeah.
Is that something you ever thought you'd hear?
He stood by Bill O'Reilly. That he stands by.
He did. Well, I mean, I do wonder if we're seeing a shift, because he's that guy that always doubled down, in spite of the fact that 2 congressional investigative committees have found that President Obama did not wiretap this president. You know, the FBI head of the agency has found that Obama did not tap this president. And so I just wonder, are we seeing this shift where now he realizes that maybe we know that these are lies, and he's saying, you know, you just take it for what it is.
But if you read some of the transcripts in any interview, there's a bit of a concern, and I'm not even making a laughing matter about this. When you try to read his process of speaking and thinking at the same time, they ramble on and they're nonsensical. So there's a point where even in that, when he said, you know what I mean, I had to reread 3 times because I didn't know what he meant, and I don't know if he knew what he meant. And there was a point where it was concerning to me, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but mentally, it rambles like a bit of paranoia and broken thoughts, and
you know what? I'm trying to be mean. Something's wrong with this guy. There's something seriously wrong about this man, and I've been saying it for months.
Didn't you say that Yale psychiatrists came out and found that he may be unstable?
Something is wrong with him.
The
Republican Party is enabling the mental illness on a daily basis.
See, I wouldn't.
That's what I think.
I mean, we don't know. I wouldn't go so far as to say mental illness. I don't know. I mean, that's up to him and his psychologist. But I do think it's a clear indication. Well, maybe maybe if he goes and he'll get evaluated. I don't know. But I think it is an indication for me that he's not being briefed. And we've heard about a lot of internal controversy there. He's having trouble with Steve Bannon. There have been some reports about Ryan Priebus not getting along. President Bannon. Right. And I think those are the people that had been briefing him, because when I look at this, it looks more than anything like a guy who's unprepared for that question. He should have known that question was coming to him. There's a very easy answer to that. He could have said, evidence has proven that members of my staff were being wiretapped. It's an ongoing investigation. I'm going to leave that to the FBI and the DOJ. Let's talk about my tax plan.
He also led them in, though. At first, when I reread it, I thought, oh, he should have known to pivot. But he's the one that started the conversation.
Well,
he started to say, we know about surveillance.
But this seems to be a whole thing. He's out there. And it got really weird, okay, when he gave his musings on American history. You can't make this up. Look at the clip.
I mean, had Andrew Jackson been a little bit later, you wouldn't have had the Civil War. He was a very tough person, but he had a big heart, and he was really angry that he saw what was happening with regard to the Civil War. He said, there's no reason for this. People don't realize, you know, the Civil War, you think about it, why? People don't ask that question. But why was there the Civil War? Why could that one not have been worked out?
But you can find out more in the new book, Donald Trump's History 101, Andrew Jackson Prevents the Civil War. And you'll notice the foreword is by Frederick Douglass. I mean, what's happening?
He is not a student of history. I mean, I took a class on the Civil War when I was in college, so people have.
How about you took a class on the Civil War when you went to grammar school?
Sixth grade. Okay. He's just not a student of it. What was surprising to me.
Gone with the Wind? We all saw that.
But it was surprising to me that he ties himself to Andrew Jackson, because if you are a student of history, you know that Andrew Jackson was known to be a volatile, violent, hostile man. You also know that he owned 150 to 300 slaves. His entire existence was based on slavery, and so he wouldn't have been angry about the Civil War. I think he would have supported it.
John Adams didn't have slaves.
This speaks to...
But he was from Massachusetts.
The blaring fact here is that he'll affiliate with any past president, and this reason he's seeking validation. He's seeking validation from the inauguration crowds to the popular vote. He's trying to seem presidential, and he's seeking it anywhere he has to.
President Bannon that is sort of the historian.
Well, he's the one feeding him this. I
actually think this is Trump, and I think this is about his own narcissism. Really interesting. Pulitzer Prize-winning historian John Meachin had said that Trump once told him that he thought he could have made a deal to end the Civil War. No, Anna, this is true. This has been reported. That the Pulitzer Prize-winning historian John Meachin has said that he spoke to Trump, and Trump is saying, if I had been in power, I could have orchestrated a deal to end the Civil War.
You know what that means? You know, we were just discussing that. What that means is that Trump would have said, leave slavery to the states. But Abraham Lincoln said, no, we're not doing that. And that's the reason why he had the Civil War.
I think it's also, though, his worldview. He feels that some great negotiator, some leadership figure can come in and can heal all wounds. And he misses the complexity of history, which is that numerous compromises came out to end the Civil War, numerous presidents tried to do it.
The mental illness theory that I have, you know, the derangement theory. I think Andrew Jackson, in his portrait, is talking to Trump.
Anything is possible.
Like Son of Sam and like Nixon. Nixon, if you recall, Whoopi, you were around in those days.
I wasn't there, but
he was talking to the portraits, and the portraits were talking to him. And Andrew Jackson is saying, you know, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're tremendous, and he likes that.
Well, you know, I hope that
more theories with Joe Behar.
Thank you.
I hope that that's true. I hope that that's what this is, because if it's not, we're in deep doo-doo.
I think we're in deep doo-doo listening to the portrait.
No, I'd much rather have an acknowledgement of what was going on with him.
Yeah.
Because if this is not him talking to the portraits and getting some cojones from that, and this is just him, that's right, I said it.
Yeah. She said it.
You know? And this is just him doing this, like thinking this is the smartest way for him to portray himself as a...
Is this for real? We are comforted by the idea that our president is speaking to a portrait.
I'd rather have him talking to a portrait than thinking of this on his own, because this would really be a whole other
She also wants him to be diagnosed. That's the issue.
We have mentioned that, but you know what? It's not going to end here. We'll be right back.
Still ahead, lemonading. How Beyonce inspired a new style of getting revenge on an ex. Have the ladies ever put the squeeze on someone? There's only one place where you'll find the hottest topics.
That's what we do.
Yes!
And most fearless voices.
You need a strong voice to be heard in Hot Topics.
Anything goes when the biggest names in politics.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Kellyanne Conway.
Elizabeth Warren.
Hit our table live.
Ann Coulter. You were one of the first people to back Trump. How do you think he's doing?
He has lied quite a bit, huh?
But he doesn't lie.
Ann Coulter.
And next week, our political view is sizzling when Condoleezza Rice speaks her mind.
It's going to be interesting.
You just can't miss
The View, y'all.
All new on ABC. performs her brand new hit live and shares how she survived becoming a superstar at just 13.
Situation with North Korea intensifies, you know who says he'd be honored to sit down with Kim Jong-yum, whom he calls one smart cookie. So, has he truly lost his mind? Did he forget what has been going on? I mean, what is he trying to now be diplomatic? Did somebody pull his coattail and say, listen, doll, you got to figure this out?
I think he's trying to go with that line of him being the great negotiator once again, that he's going to get to the table, and no matter what kind of tyrant is there, they're going to suddenly be convinced that Donald Trump, knows what he's doing, and they're suddenly going to, be turned over to democracy or whatever it is. This has been a problem, though, for many administrations, not just his. You had in President Obama in a 2007 debate, I remember him saying that he would meet with leaders of Iran, of Syria, of numerous countries
Did he say how wonderful and delightful they were?
But he said without preconditions, and that's the same. That was a problem for me when President Obama said it, and it's a problem now.
Just to meet without preconditions.
Yeah, but even if you meet with them without preconditions, these are countries that oftentimes infringe brutally on people's human rights. They should have to change the way their country works in order for us to sit down at a table with them and be willing to talk about anything.
Here's what I've learned. It does not work that way.
Right.
And one of the things that I know happened, I believe happened with President Clinton, when he would go and deal with North Korea, he would say to Kim Jong-il, look, you don't have any money because all you create is armament. You just create devices that kill and bombs and stuff. So here's the deal. You don't sell your bombs to anybody else, and we'll give you the money to feed your people. Because we know that's all y'all make.
Yeah.
Now, if you go over to the other Korea and you mess with them, we're going to get all those folks out of there, knock your country out, wait 10 years and put everybody back. Are we clear? And Kim Jong was like, okay, we're going to do this. You give us the money. We're not going to sell our stuff to anybody else. I think diplomacy, when you're dealing with dictators and really brutal people, is much better than puffing up. Because when you puff up, you then have to act. And you can say, listen, we're going to bomb you out of the what, but you have to be prepared for that. And I think the really adults said, look, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
That's a very tough kind of diplomacy. Like, I could be on board with that kind of diplomacy, but that's not what often happens. What happens is a lot of appeasement. For example, with the way we dealt with Syria and Assad has been empowered. I mean, he was able to commit that massive genocide
you do realize
because we didn't do that.
The last time that we messed with a country who was bombing their own people and spraying their own people, we're still in that war. We're still in that war. So that doesn't work either. So there has to be a better way. I personally feel like the rest of the world needs to step up oftentimes, because we can't be the only ones saying, hey, listen, we're seeing this. We can't be the only ones fighting for what's right in the world. Not the country, not democracy. It could be socialism or whatever it is. But it can't come from the bombing place anymore.
But Trump thinks that if he flatters them, it's going to work somehow, because when they do it to him, he says, Putin, he's a great guy. He likes me. I think he's great. That's how he operates. He doesn't understand. Doesn't seem like he understands that there are policies in place, and that Kim Jong-un is going to say, oh, he thinks I'm a smart cookie. I think I'll get rid of my nuclear arsenal. I'm just going to get rid of it.
And that's not true.
That's where he's at.
But that's not true diplomacy. But I have to agree with Whoopi. I mean, I'm oftentimes very conflicted about this. Are you diplomatic when it comes to a dictator, when it comes to someone like the president in the Philippines, who has killed 7,000 people because they're addicted to drugs? But I think that there has to always be diplomacy when it comes to
doesn't it when you say something good about Duarte and Kim Jong, doesn't it legitimate them?
I certainly don't think you compliment
the president of the United States.
It raises them up.
It raises them up. And so, but I don't know any other person who's been in the job who's done that. This is a first for me.
This is a new one.
The other thing is, when you think of do you guys remember a few weeks ago when Senator McCain said lightly something along the lines of Kim Jong-un is maybe like a spoiled fat kid or entitled fat. Kim Jong-un responded and was like, he said something along the lines of, this type of thing could be a declaration of war. You're talking about someone that's really unstable.
Leaders,
so that's not someone I think you make a date with.
But can't we
you have to, because when you start it, when you start the aggression, you have to back it up. And if you're being aggressive in a place where, you know, you're sending up things that you know are not going to reach anywhere. But when you want a lot of attention, this is a kid who needs a lot of attention and wants a lot of attention.
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un, dude. Okay?
And the first one, Il, by the way, had a very good relationship with China. This one does not.
No.
So it's a little harder to negotiate.
Except that what we should have done is say, listen, we're not going to take this, man. Come on. We're not going to do this with you. We're not going to indulge in this because we know that you don't have anybody surrounding you. I have all the game pieces, man. Right. We got China, we got this one, we got that. Yeah. So you need to sit down and talk to us because, you know, together we could wipe you out.
But then Trump, then are we agreeing that this subtle diplomacy is good?
No, but he does it in this very simplistic way.
I don't think it's good. I don't think
it's just go out and say the guy is a smart cookie. You go behind the scenes and you have diplomatic
slap in the face to the people that have been killed by these dictators.
Kennedy, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, did not say, gee, I really like Khrushchev. They made a deal behind the scenes. Yeah.
But there was
and we didn't have a catastrophe.
There's also, like Whoopi's example with President Clinton, there was a consequence, the way she phrased that. There was, we will do this, but you better do this. And that's been missing. We didn't do that with Syria.
How do we know that Tillerson isn't doing that?
You don't draw a red line, and then when they cross the red line, you do nothing about it. So it has to be diplomacy, but if you continue to do this, guess what? We're not going to sit here and
perhaps Tillerson is doing that.
Perhaps he is, but you know what? It would be good and comforting for the nation to know that they're on top of this, as opposed to just letting it, you know, look like we're thumbing our nose and starting to, we can't really back it up. So I think, you know, it would be, diplomacy is always, I think, better for us because we are a big nation. We are the big mammy jammy in the world. We're one of them. We'll be right back. I don't know if anybody was watching Jimmy Kimmel last night, but he got very emotional when he told the audience about his newborn son's medical drama. Take a look.
They did an echocardiogram, which is a sonogram of the heart, and found that Billy was born with a heart disease. Dr. Starnes opened his chest and fixed one of the 2 defects in his heart. The operation was a success. It was the longest 3 hours of my life. President Trump last month proposed a $6 billion cut in funding to the National Institute of Health. And thank God our congressman made a deal last night to not go along with that. No parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life. It just shouldn't happen.
There you go. So awful.
And he is... I mean, he's right about that. And something this vital should unite Republicans and Democrats, because who's to make that decision, you know? So, and that's what he's basically saying. It should not be about whether you can afford to save your kid's life. It should be that you're entitled to save your kid's life. That's so what he did is he suggested that people could donate to the hospital, to Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. And if you're interested in doing that, go to our website. And go to our website because there's not just Children's Hospital of LA, there's Children's Hospital of New York, and of every state in the union, there's also St. Jude's, which is an amazing place where no family gets turned away from St. Jude's. No, ever. Ever. So donate, because as we all worry and try to figure out what's going to happen with our health care, this is going to be what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to donate to places that are doing the work for the youngest people that we know, who can't, you know, they don't have a choice. They're our kids.
And Americans need to hold their congresspeople's feet to the fire that profits over people is not American, that it is not correct, that if you have a pre-existing condition, you cannot be helped.
Which is what this baby has.
It's unbelievable that even existed before Obamacare, that people who were sick could not get insurance to help themselves. as American citizens. Then they call themselves the greatest country in the world.
And what's
They're
also
not when you do that.
No, and what's also very American is that we should be our brother's keeper. We should be our sister's keeper. We should take care of those that are least among us. If you have more money, then yes, maybe your taxes are a little higher, but a little baby like that, his or her life can be saved. That's why the Affordable Care Act is important.
Worship the great American God more than they do.
Exactly, and that's why it's so frustrating to me when I hear about this repeal and replace. A lot of times they don't want to have cover pre-existing conditions, and a lot of Republicans are saying, well, if you're healthy, why should you have to pay for someone that is less healthy? That is why.
But
that is why you pay.
They didn't want to not cover pre-existing conditions because they don't care about people. It was because you had other people in the system complaining, saying, I can't afford my health insurance. They were trying to figure out a way to cover that, but not raise everybody else's costs.
Why not make it? Why not put it on the backs of the insurance?
Not too bad for all those people who couldn't afford insurance anymore.
You know what? If everybody contributes, that's why you had a mandate.
That's why you had a mandate.
That's the very basis for insurance. You can't just file for your house got flooded and never having paid in before. You're paying in for the off chance that something happens to you.
And not for nothing, as you know, I'm not a big fan of insurance because I feel like if you haven't used your insurance for that year, it should roll over. If you haven't been sick, it should roll over. See, for me, if I could get the new guy to say, listen, insurance companies, the people I'm talking to, the people I say I'm representing, they need you to pay attention to their needs. It's not just about you, it's about the American people. So, you know, do it with your insurance. If you're not sick, you shouldn't have to pay new stuff because it doesn't help you and it eats up at your money. Right, Jad? And other stuff.
Yeah.
You got other stuff.
I got other stuff. Would $5,000 change your summer vacation plans? And listen up because it's time for our free cash sweepstakes. One lucky home viewer is winning $5 grand this week. You have to visit our Facebook page by 5 p.m. Eastern Thursday to enter for your chance to win and tune in Friday to see if you are the winner. Sounds good.
And we'll be right back.
You did that just like
So, why won't you apologize? It's the new book that looks into why some people have such a tough time saying I'm sorry. And the book claims that men are less likely to admit that they're wrong and they won't apologize. Is that sound a little?
Yes.
I don't know.
I disagree.
I think the biggest offenders in my life are women.
Me too.
Yeah, don't apologize. I think it's people that, well, they can't see their own fault in the world. They see always what the world does to them. They're always, in some way in their mind, the victim.
Right.
And I think it's a poison in relationships.
But it's so easy to say I'm sorry. Even if you don't mean it, you just say I'm sorry.
That's right.
Because it makes the other person feel better. Like, you're supposed to mean it. But I just don't want anybody to be upset.
You know when somebody's not telling you the truth, when they don't really mean I'm sorry.
But it's not even like, I know with my husband, with Manny, recently I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, what did you do? I was like, I don't know. It looked like you were upset and I had done something. I just don't want the crazy conflict. Like, I'm just like, I'm sorry.
The worst
it comes out very fast.
The non-apology apology. The people that start to apologize and they're like, I am so sorry, Jed, that you feel what I said.
No, that's a valid apology.
That's awful.
No, it's not a valid apology.
I'd rather have you sit there and just double down on being a total
But if you feel bad that you made somebody else feel bad and you didn't even do it intentionally, then you just say, I'm so sorry I did that.
You don't accept it from the politicians when they do it. Why is it different when you do it?
What do you mean I don't accept it from
we have sat here many times and said, that's not a real apology.
That's right.
Yeah.
But in a relationship...
Come on, Sonny, wiggle your way out of this relationship.
No. You just say...
Where you should be upfront with your partner and not, you know, making them feel like they're crazy.
But sometimes you upset people and you don't even know. I do it all the time. Y'all know it. I upset people. I don't even realize I'm doing it. Like, I may have my resting bitch face and then you say to me, stop looking at me like that. I don't even realize I'm doing it. So I'll say I'm sorry.
You know now.
But those are also...
I said I'm sorry.
I think those are smaller offenses. The big stuff you know when it's kind of wedged into a moment. And I think it's really... It's hard, but I think I've actually internalized really taking blame first, because I've seen some people in my life that can't take blame, and I've seen how hurtful that is.
Yeah.
So I think
if you're wrong, you're wrong. You say, I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah, but if you
does that work?
Wow, that sounds like a funny or
you
something.
should say it. I'm sorry, but if you say I'm sorry, you feel that way. You're putting it on them, though. You're not taking ownership.
I'm sorry, I made you feel that way.
I'm sorry, I made you feel that way.
I'm sorry for what I did.
Just say, I'm going to help you with it.
What's wrong? I'm sorry.
You help Paula be funny. I'm going to help you be empathetic. Okay.
How do you say it, Sarah? What is the best way to
if you're going to say sorry, one, you have to mean it.
Yeah.
And two, you have to take full ownership. You have to say,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm aware that I did this, and I'm working on it. Like, I'm a work in progress.
Or just keep it simple. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
Because sometimes, you know, when you start to explain why you're sorry, it starts to get like, look, all you need to do is say, I'm sorry. Because, wait a minute. No, she explained. But she's also saying I'm sorry when she hasn't done anything. And we've had this discussion as well about women who constantly say, I'm sorry, when there's nothing to, you don't need to apologize if you haven't done anything. But if you've done something, and you can tell when you've done something and it's affected somebody, just say, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Really
And
sorry.
if you don't make mistakes, honey, by saying just now, just say you're sorry even if you don't mean it. That gave us ammunition.
Now I know you don't mean it when you say it.
My therapist used to say,
we're going, and I'm not sorry. We'll be right back.
My shrink used to say,
performing one of my most personal songs I've ever written and explaining all of the story behind it right after this. How hot can you stand it? Well, this May, things are about to explode. Boom! Because everyone's coming and bringing their hot view.
You're not going to hear what we do anywhere else.
And think these political heavy hitters have nothing in common? Wrong! They're all hitting the table. The only place that hears all political views.
We talk about everything.
Oh, yeah. This May is sweet. We got Neon Dion and a billionaire co-hosting. This diva bringing down the house. And the biggest, funniest, most talked about celebs are coming to be heard. Told you things were hot.
Bam, drop the mic.
Because we're view strong all May long. It's The View on ABC.
So Leanne Rimes was just 13 when she became a superstar, and her soulful voice has never sounded better than on her 16th album, Remnants. Please welcome the fabulous Leanne Rimes. Hey. So, 21 years since your first hit, Blue.
Wow.
You're in your 30s now, and you seem happier now because you're, what, more mature? You get it? What's happening?
I feel like I've come out of my shell. I mean, look, I've been hiding, I think, a lot of things my whole life. I had psoriasis. I was diagnosed when I was 2. I've always had it. But I've hidden that part of myself. And then I became this superstar at 12, 13 years old, and then I hid another part of myself. And, you know, I was always told, like, I couldn't have an opinion, you know, don't really speak your mind. People won't buy your albums. Like, you know, so I feel like I've all of a sudden, like, started ripping those pieces out of me. And it feels so liberating. And it's still happening. It's a lifelong, you know, experience and journey. And it's just starting to come out through my music. And this album is a definite reflection of that kind of healing, I guess.
And you just celebrated your 6-year wedding anniversary with your husband, Eddie Cibrian. And you said that you've been held back together, but you wouldn't change a thing. What is it that keeps you guys so strong as a couple?
Well, you know, to endure all that we have endured very publicly and have fought for our love, it does bond you in a way that I've never had before. But we respect each other as husband and wife, as dad and stepmom, as, you know, we respect each other's jobs. We really support each other in every aspect, and I think that's so important. And respect, once you lose respect, it's just gone.
It all boils down to that one thing.
It does.
And we got to talk about your new album, Remnants. This is your 16th studio album, and you say this is one about healing.
Yes.
The song you're going to sing today is called Mother, and it's about the complicated relationship that you've had with your mom.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, my mom and I had an interesting relationship because she really lost me to the world at 13. She didn't have most of my childhood, and I was very unempathetic to that. Even as in my 20s, I would kind of roll my eyes at her. And as I started to become a stepmom, I kind of got a little bit of understanding and became a little bit closer to her. But I wrote this song called Mother with two of my dearest friends, Gerald Brown and Mark Batson. And I was really mad at my mom the day we wrote this song. And it's all about acceptance and forgiveness. And I just looked at them. I said, I'll never get here with my mom. I just don't understand this. And 2 weeks later, something happened with my stepson. And I wanted to protect him. And it was probably like this much of what my mom felt with me. I called her crying. I sent her a text. I'm like, I understand now.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's what it takes when you're suddenly going, oh my God, that's me.
Yes.
That's me and I'm
That takes a lot to go back and say, I guess.
And I saw her as a woman. I didn't just see her as my mom. I saw her as a woman, you know?
You're doing a blog to
am.
go along with the album.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I'm creating it now. You can actually go sign up for it today. It's called Soul of Everly. And it's basically an extension of everything I'm talking about on this album. On my healing journey, I hope being able to share my experiences not only through music can help people heal themselves.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So here to perform, let's make this official, Mother off her album Remnants. Give it up for LeAnn Rimes.